Yeah, it's got to be harder.
If you were born after the year 2000, Heskey is a meme. After all, the first 3 YouTube results for the player were all kind of poking fun at him. If you were born before the year 2000, Heskey was a pretty decent and unselfish Premier League striker. So how did the opinion of a player with 110 Premier League goals, 53 Premier League assists and 62 England caps differ so much between 2 generations? That's why I want to know, just how good was the career of Emile Heskey? He started his career at Leicester after coming through the ranks there. After a few good seasons and a couple of trophies, Liverpool decided to fork out a then club record £11 million fee for him in March 2000, less than 2 weeks after Heskey had won the League Cup with Leicester for the second time. This overtook the £8.5 million that they paid for Stan Collymore in 1995. After 4 successful years there and a regular place in the Liverpool 11 and England 11, Heskey signed for Birmingham just 10 days after playing a standout role in a comfortable win as Liverpool visited St Andrews. Nice one, Heskey. 2 seasons later, he signs for Wigan and his reputation started to decline. I know this because his Wikipedia page actually mentions that he nearly scored a bicycle kick. Nearly. From there, he moved to Aston Villa, where individually he didn't stand out, but he was a regular in an overachieving Aston Villa team that managed to make the Europa League in 2010. He saw out his contract there in 2012 and traded the sunny West Midlands for the just as sunny Australia, where he went on to play in the A-League. He then came back to England in one last gung-ho English football revival attempt and signed for Bolton Wanderers on Christmas Eve 2014. Merry Christmas, Bolton fans. He then retired after 18 months at the end of the 15-16 season. And the less said about that time, the better. Heskey is a more decorated player than people give him credit for. He's won 4 League Cups, 2 at Leicester and 2 at Liverpool. He's won the FA Cup, he's won the UEFA Cup, the UEFA Super Cup, the Charity Shield, and the First Division playoffs during his 21-year career. Now, that's a trophy cabinet that most Premier League strikers would be more than happy to have. In terms of personal awards, Heskey has only won Birmingham's Player of the Season and Players' Player of the Season as he impressed there in his first year. And the more you look into it, the more reasons you find for the lack of personal awards compared to team honours that he got. He grew up on a council estate in Leicester and moved to Evington, which is on the outskirts of the city centre, when he was a little bit older. He was spotted by a scout actually playing a school game when he was 9 years old and joined Leicester's academy, mainly playing left wing. He had to take 2 buses to every training session and was playing in the under-18s by the time he was 15 years old, helped on by the fact that he was tall, strong, fast and had good technical ability. During a game against Northampton for the under-18s, he started on the bench and watched his team go 1-0 down. He was brought on after 20 minutes to change the game and scored twice before half-time. He then watched his teammates get roasted by the manager in the dressing room for being outshone by the 15-year-old. Heskey sadly had to endure racism throughout his career, and it was sadder to hear that this actually started at youth level. In a game against Stoke's youth team, Heskey's strike partner actually knocked out both of Stoke's centre-backs after a torrent of racist abuse from them all game. Later in his career, when Leicester were in financial trouble, Heskey donated a reported 6-figure sum to save them from administration to repay them for all that they had done for him. Just to give you an insight into the sort of bloke that Emile Heskey is. Heskey made his competitive debut for Leicester when he was 17, in a team that had just been relegated to the English First Division, now known as the Championship. He played alongside the likes of Neil Lennon, Muzzy Izzet, Steve Claridge and Coventry manager Mark Robbins in a team that went straight back up via the playoffs, despite manager Martin O'Neill's relaxed approach to, well, everything. Going up via the playoffs put Leicester inevitably odds on to go back down, but Heskey was then a regular in an overachieving side, bear this in mind for later, that finished top half of the table and won the League Cup that very next season. This League Cup even earned them a place in the 1997-1998 UEFA Cup, because that's how it used to work. This was back when the League Cup finals could go to replays if it was still even after 120 minutes. And Heskey took Middlesbrough to a final replay after a scrappy 118th minute goal at Wembley. They were knocked out immediately in the UEFA Cup next season, but it was to an Atletico side that had the likes of Christian Vieri and Juninho, so what can you do? 2 mid-table finishes and 2 pretty good seasons for Heskey followed, but it was the 99-2000 season that was instrumental in his career. It was this partnership with Cottee, just playing just behind him, holding up the ball and linking with the midfield, whether it was Izzet or Collymore or Savage, with the goals that came from Cottee, proof that there was a lot of intelligent, unselfish parts to Emile Heskey's game. It was this that forced Liverpool to fork out that £11 million for Heskey in March 2000, as Heskey had just won the League Cup again at Leicester and made his first start for England. Heskey was an instrumental player in the famous season that would follow. Liverpool had 3 forwards that season: Owen, Fowler and Heskey. Stats will probably suggest that Owen and Fowler would be the best partnership because goals win games, but this is where the stats fall down. You have to have watched Heskey to understand why he made more appearances than Owen and Fowler that season and started in all 5 finals that Liverpool won in 2001. The League Cup, the FA Cup, the UEFA Cup, the UEFA Super Cup and the Charity Shield. It was also around this time that even Heskey scored in that famous 5-1 win in Germany. What a year for Heskey. Heskey was vital in this team, playing a more selfless role behind a faster strike partner, be it Owen or Fowler, that would make more runs in behind and score more goals. Heskey's role, much like that in his final seasons at Leicester, was to hold up the ball, link with his fellow number 9, being the catalyst for the Liverpool attack. He played alongside Owen in the UEFA Cup, Fowler in the League Cup, and both in the League and FA Cup, earning his reputation of Owen's favourite strike partner. Make a note, because this is popping up more than once. Now, for a player known for not scoring many goals, Heskey scored 22 goals this season in all competitions, just 2 less than his Ballon d'Or winning strike partner, Michael Owen. Not bad for a striker that doesn't score. Heskey had 3 more good seasons with Liverpool, playing this ever-present yet never focal role in Liverpool's attack, which mainly belonged to Michael Owen. His only other trophy will be the 2002-2003 League Cup, where he won it for his 4th and final time. Heskey made appearances at the 2002 World Cup and Euro 2004, and although there were occasional good performances, the international stage came with a spotlight for criticism for his lack of goals. As Heskey's time at Liverpool came to an end, he was signed by Birmingham to partner Michael Forssell and play off him as a number 10. Forssell was Birmingham's standout player the season before, scoring 17 goals and firing them to a mid-table finish and convincing them to extend their loan from Chelsea for another year. Unfortunately, Forssell got injured early on and returned to Chelsea. Heskey was then paired up top with deadline day signing Dwight Yorke, who really wasn't what he was used to. Dwight Yorke fell out with the club and had left by April. This left Heskey up a specific creek without a certain rowing instrument. Regardless, he managed to drag them to a mid-table finish and won their Player of the Season and Players' Player of the Season. Nice one, Heskey. Unfortunately, he couldn't replicate that form the next season as Birmingham got relegated, helped on by a good string of end-of-season results from Portsmouth and their new manager Harry Redknapp. Unlucky Heskey. Heskey signed for Wigan, and this is where his reputation did start to decline, but it wasn't because of the performances he put in at Wigan. They were actually quite well appreciated by the Wigan fans. It was the fact that he was dragged back into the England team because Owen begged Steve McLaren to have him back as his strike partner. Heskey went from not even being considered for the England team to going straight into the first 11 ahead of players like Crouch, Defoe and even Wayne Rooney at times. It was at this point that he was getting a little bit more stick from the media because of his England role and the fact that he didn't score enough goals to be seen fit to be in the squad. Heskey was actually involved in some of Wigan's best Premier League football, playing just behind Marcus Bent. They also had Antonio Valencia, who used to bomb forward so much that you would have thought he was the strike partner. Heskey was back in the England team for the 2010 World Cup. The media criticism came, but Heskey really didn't help himself as he injured Rio Ferdinand in training by falling on top of him. His replacement Ledley King also got injured because he has joints with the structural integrity of a chocolate souffle. Heskey then played a support role in the overachieving Villa side to speed machine Gabby Agbonlahor and star of Maleficent John Carew. He saw out his contract and left for Newcastle Jets, where he actually scored an overhead kick. Heskey scored on his Bolton debut, but it was all downhill from there. And the less said about his time at Bolton, the better. To keep things consistent, we'll just look at his Premier League stats, and we already know his England stats aren't that impressive. His strike rate at Leicester is about 1 in 4, which isn't too bad. And when you take into account that he played left wing for a lot of that time and even had games at right back, he had games at centre mid, he played left wing back against Chelsea for some reason, don't ask me how I know that. For an 18 to 22 year old, that actually seems pretty decent. The 99-2000 season actually started with a 3-month goal drought, which is the first time his strike rate ever came into discussion, which is understandable if you go without a goal for 3 months. But the first evidence I could find of any backlash was after a 1-0 win away at Coventry, where he actually scored the only goal, so I thought that was a little bit odd. He started that season playing alongside Cottee and finished it alongside Owen, so that explains the high assist tally quite clearly for that season. His years at Liverpool are undoubtedly his best, with that 2000-2001 season a clear standout. If you weren't old enough to watch him at this point, go back and find some highlights of his time here. For some people it might be hard to believe, but he did at one point have commentators saying things like,
"He is absolutely deadly."
Birmingham and Wigan, he starts well but kind of peters out and then moves on to the next club. By the time he's at Villa, he's lost quite a few yards of pace and he's just sat in between the lines of defence and midfield, and he looks more like an attacking midfielder than a number 10. You can start to see this divide between people who thought he was a decent Premier League striker who grew up watching him at Leicester and Liverpool, and people who think he's more of a meme because they grew up watching him at Aston Villa and Bolton. This means you can pinpoint the time where Heskey transitioned from decent Premier League striker to meme all the way down to that point in the middle. When Owen gets McLaren to drag him back into the England squad, he's dragged back into the limelight, and his lack of goals at club level mean that he's constantly scrutinised by the media and by fans, and that's how Heskey became a meme. If you like this, then do subscribe for more, as every video is going to have the same 5-part format on a different former player. Give me your Heskey rating and who you want to see next down below. I'm going to give Heskey a rating of 62, and he's going to be the first person on our scale. So thank you for watching and enjoy Heskey's top 5.
Lennon. And it always played a touch to Heskey. Picked his goal, the defender off! Emile Heskey. It was what he didn't do that gave him the chance. Lennon just pushed the ball at him. He didn't touch it, held the defender off, waited for his chance, hit a brilliant finish. Heskey. Oh, it's his day at Pride Park. Emile Heskey's the name.
Heskey again tries for it when he gets the ball. As he comes on scoring. Heskey, nice turn. Heskey draws away from Venison's challenge. What a goal! Oh! That's the goal of the season, it's got to be! Well, he sidesteps the challenge from Venison. Almost stumbles, regains his balance.
Scholes. And Scholes goes forward, he's got Heskey on for the pass. England are in again, it's Emile Heskey! It's 5!
Well, it just gets better and better for England. I said Dreamland half an hour ago. This is more like Fantasy Island. 2 brilliant passes, one from Beckham, one from Scholes, and a cool, calculating and emphatic finish from Emile Heskey. This is an absolute battering.
This is payback time for the World Cup
semi-final of 1990, the semi-final of Euro 96, a World Cup quarter-final when England were holders, of course.